All right, aloha and welcome back. So this is going to be Brandon Lehman going over Zohran Mamdani, nearly attacked by angry leftists. This guy is so far right. He's a fascist. If we went back to the slave days, he'd probably willingly become a slave. That's how far right he is.
An anti-capitalist person that we've ever
Oh, let's.
seen run for elected office. But in this, the anti-white and radical socialist New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani was recently interrupted and heckled at an event he was hosting by a pro-Palestinian activist. This protester was furious at Zohran because he believes he isn't violent and radical enough. He was so mad, in fact, that he comes close to physically assaulting Zohran, and you can see all over Zohran's face how scared he is. Because to most normal people, Zohran Mamdani is the most radical, anti-American, anti-Western civilization, anti-capitalist person that we've ever seen run for elected office. But in this moment, Zohran
I would say that's a bit of hyperbole.
realizes the risk and the danger of running a campaign that appeals to the deranged and radical left, because they are never satisfied. They always want more. Complete and total destruction is their goal. I mean, Zohran is openly racist against white people. He's a proud socialist who believes in seizing the means of production, redistribution of wealth, government-run grocery stores. He supports violent Islamic terrorism, and in this moment, even he realized that it's not enough.
So redistribution, government-run grocery stores. Yeah, I'm down for some of that.
As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are on the
Do that over
road
here
to
too.
300,000 subscribers.
Not close to that, but we're on our way to 300.
For me with the birth of my first child. I wasn't as active making videos as I usually am, but we are back in full swing now. So let's start July off with a banger. Make sure you smash the like button and make sure you turn on the notifications so you
I was pretty slow for June too, and it had to do with the child, so I can fill him on that one.
never miss a video. Now, before I show you guys the insane clip of Zohran almost peeing his pants from this heckler, let me show you his appearance on CNN, where he, a foreign national, anti-Western civilization socialist, tries to lecture us on what the American dream actually means.
So, for people who say that America was built on, and a lot of immigrants, and obviously you speak from an immigrant experience. I mean, you came as a young child, but you speak to a lot of people who came much more recently, that they come to America because they believe in capitalism. They believe that if they work hard and make a lot of money, that's part of the American
They've
dream.
been bamboozled.
Do you think that's not part of the American dream?
I think the dream at its core is a dream for stability in one's life. And what you're saying, that you work hard enough and that you then reap the benefits, too many New Yorkers, and Americans for that matter, are working 8 hours and then still feeling like they haven't made enough money to keep living in the city they call home. And ultimately, what I'm focused on is making the city affordable for everyone, not to win an ideological argument, but to deliver on the mandate of this country.
Sounds pretty good.
Now, I don't know about you, but I have such a problem with a foreign-born Islamic terrorist supporter from Uganda redefining what the American dream is to fit his Marxist worldview. Everything this man believes is completely antithetical to the American way of life. And instead of embracing American values, which make it the most attractive place on earth to do business,
Well, that we don't attack America makes it the most attractive place on earth to do business. If you do business the wrong way or too good in other places, we will destroy you.
for people to move to have the opportunity to succeed and get ahead in life. He wants to replace it all with an ideology and a way of governance that is embraced by the poorest, most corrupt, and violent countries in the world. In America,
Worker-owned means of production. That is what we want. That is what the left wants. That's what he says he wants. I'm not sure if Zoran's really on that, but we'll find out. But yeah, we want the workers to run the means of production. That's basically what it is.
American society, we don't look at rich people as the enemy. We look at rich people as an example of what we can be if we work hard and make good choices. Most Americans want to be rich. And when you combine that desire with
Most Americans want to be rich, but most Americans can't be rich. Only so many people can be rich, or they won't be rich. If everybody, even if everybody had $10 million, then $10 million wouldn't be anything. That'd be the baseline. That'd be poor.
economic model that only allows you to become rich if you provide a massive amount of societal benefit. You get the most
Right, but it makes people poor also. If you had an economic model where you could provide to society and nobody becomes poor, everybody lives better, everybody lives a bit richer.
With an economic model that only allows you to become rich if you provide a massive amount of societal benefit. You get the most robust and prosperous country that has ever existed in human history. Capital.
Now you can't really say that because there was African countries in the early, 800s, 600s, stuff like that, and up to 1400s that were, and there's a lot of history we don't even know about. But you see the pyramids, we can't even build the pyramids like they did back in the day, and you got all that stuff in South America, different pyramids and big things and whatnot that we can't explain. So you can't say that. Like, we don't know that we're the richest and the best and most prosperous of all time. That's just something that people say because we're here right now.
Capitalism rewards people for
and be honest, we're not even more better off and prosperous than China. If you look at China and what they got going on,
taking risk to provide value to their fellow man. And if you want to become richer, you have to expand your business, which means you have to hire more people. It's an economic model that leads to prosperity, that complements the human desire to succeed. And that model has led to miraculous innovations in technology, in medicine, in all.
Capitalism has slowed down innovation so much. Like, have you ever seen the meme where it says the cure to cancer could be in the head of some child in the hood or in the ghetto or something like that doesn't go to a good school and what all this. But like, if you're poor and you don't have access to a computer or access to, if you're a scientist with no access to scientific tools, you can't invent, you can't do the stuff you want. If we're in a society that says there's this much stuff, you have access to this much amount of it because there's this many people, then everyone could do their little experiments and they could try more. If you have a lack of money in our society, you can't get there. You can't drive. You might not be able to put gas in the car. You might not be able to get a car. You might, you can't go to the better schools. All kinds of things. Capitalism stops, progress and innovation more than anything.
Aspects of life. The American model has increased human life expectancy, has substantially decreased global poverty, and
it's not the American model, it's technology. And capitalism slows down technology. The American model slows down technology. Patents, as soon as a small business starts to do good, a bigger business will buy it up and just stop. They don't do R&D like they used to. As soon as you have a good thing or a decent thing, then they stop research on other things so that's the one for the long time. Capitalism stops all the stuff that he's talking about. He's just so wrong.
New York City is symbolic of this entire philosophy. But listen to Zohran's response when the CNN host asks him if he likes capitalism.
So when people say democratic socialist, right? And I'm curious what you think this means. I mean, do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. And I think ultimately the definition for me of why I call myself a democratic socialist is the words of Dr. King decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country.
I agree with
that.
And
that's what I'm focused on is dignity and taking on income inequality. And for too long, politicians have pretended that we're spectators to that crisis of affordability. We're actually actors, and we have the choice to exacerbate it, like Mayor Adams has done, or to respond to it and resolve it, like I'm planning to do.
See, this is the problem with revolutionaries like Zohran Mamdani, is they want to tear down something objectively good that works, and they never have a suitable replacement for it. They simply want to cause destruction for all, so bitter and jealous leftists can feel good that
we have suitable replacements. He's talking about city-run grocery stores. That's a replacement for almost actually nothing because there's food deserts over there, so they need grocery stores to replace the grocery stores that aren't even there. But universal health care, there's all kinds of things that we're talking about that would replace the bad or the too expensive things, the things that are too expensive that most people can't afford.
Stuck it to the rich guy. Capitalism is a system that rewards high achievers, and those high achievers pull all of society up with them. Think about 50 years ago. Computers were so big and bulky, they would take up stories of an entire building just to not even come close to the computing power that the modern smartphone has.
And that has nothing to do with capitalism of the United States. That has to do with technology. And isn't China the most technologically advanced place? They're the ones doing all our cell phones and computers and stuff anyway. Taiwan and the countries over there. We're not building that stuff.
It leads to innovation and advancement that benefits all members of society. He talks about reducing income inequality. Well, the places on Earth that have the least amount of income inequality are the poorest places. Income inequality will always exist. The point isn't to reduce income inequality. The point is the people at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder are continuously doing better than they did a decade ago. The only way to achieve no income inequality is if everybody is equally as poor as the next person.
I wouldn't say you want to end income inequality altogether unless you just end income, but there's always going to be probably a little bit of somewhat inequality, but we don't want such a vast difference between the poorest and the richest of people. It's kind of crazy right now. Our poorest people are living on the street, homeless, dirty, not being able to eat, while our richest people are born rich and just haven't had to work a day in their life and just get to be billionaires because their daddies were billionaires or millionaires at the time, and then their grandpas were pimps and stuff. That's our president's story. Jesus.
And that's exactly what you see anytime communism or socialism is implemented. I mean, this man is a complete nut job.
You see the U.S. come in and bomb them or destroy them or overthrow them or something like that.
But here is the part that you all have been waiting for.
But the best part is that if we do implement some socialism and communism within the United States, they're less likely to bomb us, maybe? I mean, they'll still attack us probably, but, at least you'll be able to see it more outright. They've done it before, they'll do it again, so I don't know.
A pro-Palestinian heckler almost beating up Zohran Mamdani because he wants him to be even more radical. Take a look.
What do you say about politicians that constantly reaffirm Israel's right to exist? Because people like me are constantly attacked by politicians for standing up for Palestine, and you are constantly defending the right for Israel to exist. My family is in Palestine right now, constantly under attack, and I'm hearing you say free Palestine, but also Israel has the right to exist. Don't be hypocritical. Don't be hypocritical and say free Palestine when you're also defending the right for Israel to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It's not your land to say it has the right to exist.
So even though Zohran is openly advocating for...
I don't think he looked really scared. He said he was looking scared. He's listening, looking, not really scared, staying calm. I thought this dude was pretty intense, right? I might have had a different look on my face. I might have backed up. I thought he might attack him, to be honest, but I think he did a pretty good job of just standing there being calm and listening to the guy. So yeah, with most of what this Brandon Lehman is saying, he's kind of exaggerating, going over the top, I think.
Your land to say it has the right to exist.
So even though Zohran is openly advocating for anti-white policies that punish people based on their skin color, even though he's trying...
And one, he's not doing that. Two, that guy had said nothing about anti-white policies. Why would he bring up anti-white policies when the guy was talking about Palestine and Israel?
To implement anti-Western policies that would facilitate the downfall of New York City, even though he refuses to condemn globalize the Antifada, which is a chant used by...
Antifada means resistance. In Hebrew, I think it's Hebrew, but whatever language, it means resistance. If you say globalize the resistance, that's basically what the left wants to do. We want to globalize the working force resistance. Workers of the world unite.
By Islamic terrorists. None of that is enough, because to this protester, he also needs to hold genocidal views that the Jewish race shouldn't exist. And that
he didn't say the Jewish race shouldn't exist. He said Israel shouldn't exist. But Zohran says that Israel should exist as a democracy, like the United States, where everybody is equal, like the United States is supposed to be, where everybody is equal. So he's saying that Israel should be equal with Israelis should be equal to Palestinians within Israel-Palestine.
Is the problem with a candidate like Zohran is he's tapping into the left's insatiable desire to kill, to destroy, to oppress. He's giving up
the left. That is so insane. The right kills the left. Martin Luther King killed. Fred Hampton killed. Malcolm X killed. they're talking about deporting Zohran now. Allende in Chile killed. They kill anybody on the left. Anybody that tries to help the people, wants to nationalize the oil, they just go kill them.
A megaphone to people who will not be satisfied until the United States is turned into some Islamic Sharia law country where everything is owned and
then most people on the left, they don't want religion to be part of the law or part of the law of the land or whatever. You have a religion, go for it. But we don't want religion to have any effect on laws. We want to make regular laws for regular people, white people, and probably have a lot less laws than we have now.
Controlled by the government, and our women get stoned for showing their hair. It's the same kind.
I mean, if you read the Bible, your women are supposed to be stoned for a lot of things. Like the reason, like a lot of times now, Christians don't even follow what the Bible says. Like if y'all did what the Bible said, y'all would be living a way different life. And America would be way different too. And I'm not saying it'd be better.
Kind of radical progressivism you see from the left that forces them to refuse to accept that since 1965, black people have had civil rights and equal rights. To them, that doesn't matter. That's not far enough. They want more. They believe it goes further than a law. They believe every fiber of every detail of every aspect of our society was crafted during a time where black people didn't have rights. So therefore, every single institution, every aspect of everyday life needs to be torn down and replaced with something different. And
I mean, that's not a total lie, I guess. Like, our laws were written by slavers and stuff. Like, we should frame our Constitution and write a new one. We should write laws that are more of today's standard, because they didn't have cell phones back in the day. They didn't have computers back when they made a lot of these laws. They didn't have, their guns weren't like our guns now when they wrote the Second Amendment. So things should be adjusted a bit, but things should probably be adjusted every 50 to 100 years, because things change fast. And even the laws, if we made some laws perfect for today, and everything was great, no matter if they were right or left leaning, whatever, and they were just perfect laws and everybody got to live a perfect life, it probably still need to be tweaked in about 50 to 100 years, because things change. That's how it is.
Zohran is going to find out that the people who he's appealing to are not just wildly stupid, but they're also dangerous. And you can tell he knows that because he was shaking in his boots, thinking that this guy was likely about to attack him. But it's funny that Zohran would be afraid of violence, because just a few years back, when he was openly advocating for defunding the police, he makes the claim that violence is nothing more than a social construct. Watch.
Monday CRM.
A social construct. Watch.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence at the highest degree.
Yes.
Well, he's saying that they're adding violence to crimes that are non-violent crimes. Like, I don't know exactly the exact circumstances he's talking about, but they do like to add extra things to crimes just to put you either in jail longer or to make you pay higher fines, things like that. So that is done. I'm not exactly sure what he was talking about there in that clip.
The irony of the left, where actual violence isn't really violence, that's just a social construct. But also, words are violence, and that's why you're not allowed to call a man pretending to be a woman a man, because if you choose to operate in reality, your words are essentially causing a trans person to kill themselves. And that's why the left thinks freedom of speech is bad and should be policed and censored. So this is the person that...
And I don't know many on the left that want to censor speech. And I mean, like, people do sometimes get mad, oh, don't call me out of the gender or whatever, but they just get mad and they'll either argue with you or leave, but they're not trying to make it illegal. They're not trying to make it illegal, or, I mean, sometimes you might get fired depending on what you're doing, right? You got to take care of your customers, and if one of your customers is a trans person, then you got to either take care of them or get them help by somebody else, I guess, I don't know. But they're not trying to make it illegal that I know of, and... yeah, like, you're all mad about Zohran having his free speech and you're making a whole video about it. And, you know, I mean, so it's so weird that when people get mad about what somebody else says in the video that they're mad about what somebody else is saying. They talk about other people being mad about people saying stuff. Like, you're doing exactly what you're talking about people on the left doing. You got a whole, 16-minute and 18-second video where you don't like somebody's speech.
That New York City is about to get. He wants to increase the tax rate on rich people.
And you're lying about a whole bunch of this stuff. Like, yeah, he does want to increase the tax rate on rich people over $1 million.
He wants to double the corporate tax rate on businesses. And on top of that, he wants to defund the police department, but will sit there and smile in your face and gaslight you into thinking that his policies are going to turn New York City into some paradise, some utopia.
I've seen police in New York City say they like his defunding plan, but he wants to get like counselors and stuff to do certain domestic calls and certain things where it could be de-escalated without a gun, rather than having police go there. Because like I saw this police chief talk about how they put everything on them now, like marriage counseling, truancy at schools, like just all these, just I'll see if I can find it later, but all these problems that police aren't trained to deal with, police have to deal with now. And defund the police means probably get rid of some policemen, but if you want the job, like, you're going to make new jobs, counselor jobs, certain jobs that are trained to do different things. And these police that might not be policemen anymore, they can go and apply for these jobs or get these jobs. They can even transition, right? When we defund the police, transition the police that are now being let go or whatever because of defunding, and train them in different areas to do different things.
Thinks rich people aren't going to leave because of a tax increase. Well, I bet you they leave because of a tax increase combined with the city that becomes even more crime-ridden. And then once that happens, unemployment...
One, rich people aren't leaving New York. Two, it's already crime-ridden. They've been talking about crime in New York since the 80s, if not before, probably since gangs in New York, when New York was first built in the 1800s, or I don't know. But are you serious?
It skyrockets. Crime continues to skyrocket. His government-run...
And then if all the rich people leave and all the rich people go to the same place, then what happens? Who's going to work for who? Y'all ain't going to work for each other. Y'all just going to sit there all rich looking at each other like, do something. Now you do something. And then all the workers are going to be there with all the stuff that you guys, like the buildings and everything, the factories, will be here without y'all trying to tell us what to do. And we could just run society while y'all stay in Florida or wherever y'all go. You guys do your John Galt thing. Go for it.
Grocery stores become overrun. Bread lines start winding around New York City blocks. Mass hunger ensues. Maybe then, Zohran might admit that his policies, which have been tried countless times and every time lead to the same outcome, aren't as wonderful as he thinks they are. The left always wants to preach to us about recognizing historical wrongs so we don't repeat them. They want to lecture us about how America is stolen land, about how slavery 200 years ago still contributes to black people not being able to get ahead today.
But like you said, we didn't get our rights till 65 or so. And even still, people be fighting us for everything.
Yet they refuse to look at any historical example of socialism crippling societies and leading to mass.
You got the USSR building up faster than any other country, in like the 20s, maybe 30s. And China doing it faster than any other country, like in the 60s and 70s. These communist, socialist countries build real fast when left alone. Like, they're too big for us to destroy. But we've destroyed many countries on their way up, and we do that so that people in the United States won't see socialism as something that works, communism as something that works. We destroy it. And so we think the best thing that's out there is the U.S. and the West, because we don't destroy the West as much as we destroy everything else.
Mass starvation, poverty, tyranny, and violence. The next video I'm going to show you is something that I saw a long time ago, but it's resurfacing on X due to the emergence of Zohran Mamdani's popularity. It's a man from communist Cuba breaking down in tears after his first time going to a Costco and seeing just how much meat is in the stores.
Cierra los ojos.
No me puedo llevar eso para la casa.
Tú solo. Uno.
But can he afford it? Like, still, you got to be able to buy it. And in Cuba, if you got enough money, I'm sure you can buy meat. In any country, you got enough money, you can buy meat. It's too much. So, I mean, even really, like, coming from a place like, he says Cuba, he ain't never seen no meat before or some shit. He thinks it's too much. Even he thinks it's gluttonous. We're going to waste a lot of that meat. He knows it. And so the thing is, we do have all this food in places, and we waste. The United States throws away enough food to feed the rest of the world. Every year, every day, whatever, however you look at it. But we throw away enough food to feed the entire world. We need to distribute this food. We got homeless people that don't eat. We got food that rots everywhere. If we got all this food, the whole thing is we need to distribute it. Put this food to the people all around. Let everybody eat, and let's not waste so much of it.
What you just saw is the reaction of every single person who actually comes from a country in which communism is implemented. They hate communism. They love capitalism. They love America. They love American values. They love American opportunity. The only people who advocate for communist policies are silver spoon elitists like Zohran. Rich, well-off people who
I can guarantee you I'm not a silver spoon elitist.
Think that they'll hit their virtue signaling quota if they advocate for radically destructive policies in the name of supporting the working class man. Socialism and communism is no friend of the working man. Capitalism is a friend of the working man. The whole concept of the
capitalism exploits your labor. These guys are crazy, man.
Middle class
let him cook.
Didn't even exist until American capitalism made it exist. My fiance's family is Laotian, friend of the working man. Capitalism is a friend of the working man. The whole concept of the middle class didn't even exist until American capitalism made it exist. My fiance's family is Laotian. They immigrated here over 30 years ago. They are entrepreneurial. They are industrious. They love America. They go back and visit Laos because they have family there, but they absolutely hate the government. They hate how violent and oppressive communist regimes are. People from countries like that.
I don't know anything about Laos specifically, but a lot of people hate how violent the United States is. Like, Trump talks about telling the police not even to worry about their head, hit their head on the way into the car, talking about hurting people and just run them over if they're protesting and stuff. This is a pretty violent country, my guy. We got the Second Amendment. Like, oh, don't take my guns. I'm ready to shoot anybody. Our schools. My stepson the other day was talking about how they got shooter drills. Like, and I'm a teacher and I've done shooter drills with my kids. I've talked about that before. But my stepson was talking about how they were doing shooter drills one time and how the kids are having fun now with the shooter drills and they like it because they don't have to do schoolwork and they can get on their phones and shit. And I'm like, even the kids are becoming desensitized to their own death.
Flee to America because it's the exact opposite. But people like Zohran don't understand that because to them, they can just sit on their high horse, yell slogans like billionaires shouldn't exist, and then get cheers and applause from their echo chamber of radical Marxist leftists. A whole bunch of well-off, college-educated white liberals who have adopted the white privileged worldview and think white people are the root of all evil, but also, ironically enough, think that because they're educated white liberals, they're the only ones who can solve the problem. The last thing I'm going to show you is Donald Trump commenting on...
And nobody on the left thinks they're the only ones that can solve the problem. It's just ludicrous. And he talks about all of them on the left. There's more than one, right? So we're trying to solve the problems together. Like, he's an idiot. This guy is very much an idiot to me.
Zohran, and giving his opinion on how he feels about his home city potentially going communist.
I think he's terrible. He's a communist. The last thing we need is a communist. I said there will never be socialism in the United States. Then we have a communist. I think it's bad news, and I think I'm going to have a lot...
I would like Trump to tell us the difference in communism and socialism. If he knows, that would be great. I'd like him to say that. I'd like somebody to ask him, what's the difference?
I'm fun with him, watching him, because he has to come right to this building to get his money. And don't worry, he's not going to run away with it.
He's got to come through this building and get his money. So is he saying that if they run the state-owned grocery stores, he ain't gonna get no money for them state-owned grocery stores, because then that'd be that, you know. But I guess New York has state taxes, but still, federal money goes to all the states. I guess actually, New York pays out. They don't even really get federal money. They're gonna be paying out more money than they take in. So if he wanted to mess around and say some stuff like that, New York could probably say, "Oh, we're not going to pay our federal taxes then if you want to act like you're going to withhold what you don't give back to us."
Anything. I think he's, frankly, I've heard
Trump is quite the idiot.
I think the people of New York are crazy. If they go this route, I think they're crazy. We will have a communist for the first time, really, a pure, true communist.
For the first time since the early 1900s, when we got a 5-day work week, we got a 40-hour work week, child labor laws, all kinds of good things came when we had communists and socialists in office and around. But during FDR's time, they kicked them all out so that they did the New Deal, tried to kick them all out, got rid of them over the next 10, 20 years. And like FDR said, he would save capitalism, which is a sad thing.
Operate the grocery stores, the department stores. What about the people that are there? I think it's crazy.
Now, I certainly hope New York City does not elect this guy. New York City is the most iconic symbol of capitalism. Big, tall buildings, flashing lights, people on the street level.
He needs to go to China and look at some videos about China. Big, tall buildings, big, tall bridges, big, strong infrastructure, dams, all kinds of stuff. If you want to see big, big infrastructure, go to the communist state or country.
Dreaming about living on the top floor. Big visions, aspirations. The dream of economic mobility right in front of your face.
And America's one of the countries with the least amount of economic mobility, or least possible economic mobility. Look it up.
And it would be disastrous to the morale and the image of America if a communist takes over the capital center of the world. But the only silver lining is Donald Trump will absolutely make this man's life a nightmare. Zohran will fail so badly that he will be eaten alive by his wildly radical base. And at the end of the day, to the behest of all of us, they may even deport him back to Uganda. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
Right, and they might deport him back to Uganda, look at him smiling, laughing and stuff, talking about what the left does. The right is the one that silences people, that cancels people's speech. They're gonna cancel his speech so much they want to send him back to another country. Like, that's crazy, but he's so happy about it. He doesn't even see his hypocrisy. But you know, that's how the right is. And you would know this if you watch Across the Spectrum, and we'll be back soon.